Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to do something a little different. As you can tell, I'm not, dressed up and in a bikini, and that's because I wanted to share my experience with a disorder that I have and have been battling since I hit, I think, about 13. So if you would like to hear, my struggles and my highs and lows, keep watching. Okay, so I have a gland disorder that is called Hydradenitis Superativa, very long name, and that basically means that I have hyperactive or very sensitive glands. So when I would like to shave in my groin area or in my armpits, I will break out in these really large welts. I first experienced a welt when I was, I think, a sophomore in high school, and I was shaving my armpit because at the time I wasn't really shaving down there, and I had a golf ball sized welt. It was huge and it hurt. It was very painful, to the point where I couldn't even really fully put my arm down. I sort of had to keep it like this because closing my arm down would just put too much pressure on the welts, the golf ball bump. And I went to my pediatrician and she told me, oh, it's just an infection. She gave me some antibiotics, and the antibiotics of course didn't do anything, but over time the swelling would go down. And I would experience this about one or two other times after that, and each time my pediatrician would just give me antibiotics. It wasn't until I was in college, before I say that, I would also notice that I would experience breakouts down there when I did start shaving. It was of course uncomfortable, and it made me very self-conscious of my body. It was nothing that I was proud of, especially, I think I mentioned this before on social media and also on my blog. I've already had these, I've had a heightened sense of self. I was always very aware of my body. I was always picked on for being that tall, skinny, lanky girl with no shape. And then when I finally did start getting my breasts, they were uneven, and I was very, self-conscious of that. And then I had no butt, and then I started doing track, and then I did have a butt, but then they had stretch marks, and it was just all these things that a teenage girl thinks about. That's how I felt. So when you add all of that, and then on top of it put a gland disorder, which at the time I didn't know it was a gland disorder. I just thought something was wrong with me. I just thought I was ugly. I just thought, out of all the people in the world, I'm going through this issue, and everybody else can walk around the beach and in the pool just enjoying their lives and not experiencing these painful breakouts in their armpits or in their groin area. And I thought it's just me. I thought it was weird. I thought it was weird. So another funny thing I did want to point out was that I became so self-conscious of my breakouts, especially in the summertime when you're at the beach or at the pool and in your bikini or whatever, that I would actually, and I still sort of do it today, actually I do it today, I will look at the other women wearing their bikinis, and I'll look at their bikini line to see if they're experiencing what I'm experiencing, or if they have any signs of it, because I have scarring down there from all the bumps that I would have. So I would look at other women and I'd be like, oh, I wonder if she has scars. Oh, I wonder if she has scars. And no one did. So I figured that I'm the only person going through this. Fast forward, it wasn't until college that I had another large welt in my armpit. This time it was very unbearable. I had to miss class for it. I went to my on-campus emergency room, and I had to have them drain it. And although draining sounds very simple, it was probably one of the most painful things I've ever experienced in my life. They didn't really numb me at all, or if they did, it was something very topical that didn't do anything. It was just painful. I was crying as they were draining it. No. So that happened. In the process of me first experiencing my symptoms up until my drain, I had been doing a lot of research on what exactly I could have. Is it an ingrown hair? Is it an infection? Like, what is it? And after tons and tons of research and looking through blogs, looking through Reddit entries, looking through health diaries and all that stuff, I narrowed it down to Hydradenitis Superativa. So fast forward to when I had my armpit drained and I spoke to the doctor, I think the following day, I told her, I said, hey, you know, it seems like I'm getting these too often, especially when I shave in my armpits and down there. It seems to only be where I have hair. It doesn't happen on my legs or anywhere else where I have hair. I think I might have this disorder. I might have HS. And she was a black doctor, and she looked at me and she said, I think you're right. And then she looked over the symptoms in the computer of what it means to have HS, and she, you know, reviewed what I had been experiencing, and she said, you do have it. And honestly, that to this day I have a love-hate relationship with doctors, because I had been suffering so long, and I did have a family trusted doctor for years, for a majority of my life at that time, who had kept misdiagnosing me. So now I'm very eerie towards doctors. And also, I'm not sure if it was the fact that the doctor I grew up with was white, and so she wasn't too familiar about this disorder, because it is more prominent in women of color and women who have coarse hair. So I'm not sure if, you know, it was like a culture thing or like maybe whatever, but like at the end of the day, you're a doctor and you should know this, and that you should also take into account that I'm like one of your only black patients, and you've been telling me over and over again it's just an infection, when in fact I have a disorder. Like, you why can't I say that word? You misdiagnosed me multiple times. It just made me very off-putting, or it made me feel really off-putting towards doctors. Even to this day, I don't really have like a go-to doctor. But anyways, so that's really been what I've been battling for the past 13 years now. And honestly, this disorder has taken a toll on how I see myself mentally. As I said before, it made me very self-conscious. I already felt, you know, like the weird, awkward black girl in a all-white town. I already felt like I didn't fit in, and then just, you know, sprinkle this on top. I felt really low. I was also going through, you know, depression. I had thoughts of suicide when I was a teenager, so I just felt like I was just worthless, and this gland disorder did not help at all. And I thought that just something was wrong with me, and I didn't think that I was worth, you know, deserving of life, you know? Like, it really takes a toll on you when you have something and you don't know what's wrong with you. It's been a huge struggle. It's just, it's a lot. But I did want to say something that is happy, and I really do want to end this conversation on a good note. So I really wanted to battle this disorder. After I found out what it was, I really wanted to battle it. So I did things to help mitigate my breakouts. So I would shave less, only shave when I would really need to, like if I'm going to the beach, or if I have a fashion show and it's a bodysuit that's cut out, you know, down there or something like that. Like, I just made a very conscious effort to only shave when necessary with my groin area. And then with my armpits, in the winter I wouldn't shave at all unless needed, and in the summer I would shave once a week. But I will always use a fresh razor, a fresh disposable razor, and then I will also use shaving gel that is meant for sensitive skin. So I did little things here and there to make sure that my I wouldn't break out, or there would be a less chance of me breaking out. Also, I realized last year that shea butter has very soothing qualities, so after I would shave my armpits, I could already feel them tingling and getting ready to freak out again. I would put the shea butter right on after I shaved, and it would help with the irritation, and in my groin area too. But something that was really exciting that I announced a few weeks ago is that I tried Nair for the first time. Well, not Nair, it was some type of other bikini removal off-brand version of Nair. And I went on a whim and I tried it, and the reason I didn't try it before was because my mom would have Nair growing up in her bathroom, and I hated the smell, and I thought it was just the nastiest thing ever, and I just was so adverse to it. But I tried it. I did a little patch spot on my groin area, and I gave myself a few days afterwards. Well, actually, I did a little patch, tried it out, waited an hour, see if I would react, because I got sensitive skin, and it didn't react. So then I did the rest of the area, and everything was gone, and I didn't really have too many breakouts like I would have had I shaved. And a few days later, like, I was still good. The hair did grow back obviously quickly because Nair only takes away the surface layer, but like, I was happy and I was ecstatic because like, I found something where I don't have to like destroy my skin and like look like a freaking bumpy woman, bumpy old hag. So I was really excited. I was so excited that I took to Instagram stories, and I went on Instagram Live, and I was crying. I was so happy. I was elated that I had found like a solution to my disorder that I've had for my entire life. And like, what I loved from posting and sharing my vulnerability to the internet was the fact that I had people respond to me, mainly women, saying like, hey, I have this disorder too. Like, thank you so much for sharing this story. I had no idea that, Nair or some type of whatever removal was an option. Like, I really would like to try it. Like, let me know how it goes in the future too, blah blah blah. And that was like the first time, literally a few months ago. I'm 26 years old, and it wasn't until a few months ago that I actually knew of people who had the disorder. Of course, you see it in the blogs, you hear people, writing their stories about it, but I didn't know them. This is the first time I knew somebody within like my circle, within my network, who was going through the same thing I was going through. So like, that really just brought me closer to those people. And it also made me realize, like, when I share my vulnerabilities to the world, it really helps others. And so that's one of the things I've been trying to do more with social media, which is why I'm recording this video today anyways. But to take it one step further and make this story even better is the fact that I went on a whim, and a week before I tried out for Sports Illustrated swim search in Miami, I went to get a wax. And I had my cousin come with me. She took me to the European Wax Center in Baltimore, and I was terrified. I saw all the waxing videos prior to. I was sending them to her like, oh my God, look what this girl did. I don't know if I can do this. But I was like, I'm gonna bite the bullet. I'm gonna give myself a week's time from the important day to see how I react. I've heard horror stories of how people react horribly to waxing, and so that's why I had put it off for years. But I figured, like, this is a huge opportunity. I want to look my best. I want to feel my best. If I don't have to worry about any hair, I'm going to take this risk. I've given myself enough time so that if I do have a breakout before, the day of the swim search, I can at least hopefully be healing by then, etc., etc. So I went to European Wax Center. I got my wax, my first wax ever, waxing anything, well, besides my eyebrows and my upper lip, waxing anything, and it was the most excruciating thing ever. That joint was painful. Honestly, I don't think I would wish that on my worst enemy. That joint was painful, man. Like, when I tell you, like, and I was bushy. I was bushy. I had trimmed a little bit, but I was bushy, and I got thick 4C hair, so like, enough said. Enough said. After the pain and the tingling for about a whole day, I started using these products, which I had to purchase, the ingrown hair wipes. Boop. Ingrown hair wipes. and the body polish. And they told me that when you wax, they recommend that you buy these products because it'll help with your to prevent ingrown hairs and reactions, whatever. And I made sure to tell the lady who had waxed me, you know, that I do have this disorder. Like, this is my first time waxing. I have a gland disorder. I have very high sensitive skin. Like, this is, you know, really significant to me. I have a major, you know, event coming up next week. Like, I explained everything to her, so she knew, like, don't fuck me up. Do not fuck me up. She knew. But yeah, the next day I didn't have, like, not a single, like, I was red, but I didn't have a single bump or like any inkling of swelling. And I texted my cousin and I'm like, I don't have a bump. And then the next day came and I didn't have anything. And I told her, I was like, wow, I really still don't have hair. Because you know, when you shave, like a day and a half later, the hair's already trickling back. So I was like texting her all my little updates, and she was like, oh yeah, don't you love it? And I was like, yeah, my vagina doesn't hurt anymore, LOL. Actually this past weekend was my second time going. I bought a 6-month package and I haven't had any signs of ingrown hairs. I've had, actually, I'll take that back. I've had a little bit of swelling, a couple of ingrown hairs here and there, but they were very minor. Nothing like I've experienced in the rest of my life. They're very, very subtle, and usually if I were to wash with this, they would then calm down. And then with these wipes, they do tingle at first, especially after my first wipe or wax. They were tingling a lot, but you can just, it's like it's working. If it's tingling, it's working. So anytime I would like see a breakout, I would like go extra ham with this, and then make sure I'm using this morning and night, even if I don't shower. And honestly, I'm just so happy. Like, I can't believe that I have experienced enlightenment from this disorder. I know that not all people who do get waxed have these positive results. So if you are one of the people who did try waxing and you weren't able to have the positive results that I have, I'm sorry, and I hope that you do find your own version of your cure to this incurable disorder. But for me personally, I did get waxed and it did work for me, and so I do recommend, you know, European Wax Center for one. This is not sponsored. I thank them for giving me this experience. I thank them for, you know, being the source of my enlightenment. And if you are a person who is suffering from HS and you have not tried waxing yet, I would highly recommend that you do try it. It's so funny though, because when I went to the Sports Illustrated swim search in Miami, I didn't bring, they have travel sizes of these, but I didn't get them because it's like, this joint is expensive, this shit is expensive, and I didn't like pack it in a little travel size tube. So believe it or not, I did start reacting the night of the show. The day after I had been selected for top 16, we had a runway show for Miami Swim Week, and I was in it. And that evening I started feeling the reaction coming on my left side, which is the more sensitive side for me. And it's also where I have most of the scarring, right in my groin line. And so I was like, oh shit, fuck. The last thing I need is all these 1,000 cameras to record me with this huge bump in my groin. So I just tried to stay calm and make sure, you know, that area was like not being irritated by my underwear, stuff like that. So because that was another thing that I would do to mitigate reactions, I would try and buy panties from Victoria's Secret that didn't have the lining, the seamless ones, because that helps a lot. The underwear that does have the seams, they will definitely irritate my skin. So anyways, so I tried to, you know, make sure I was good down there and not, you know, do anything that would irritate it. And then I would also, yeah, and so the first bikini that I wore, which I'll put right here, in the swim show, was actually right on the bump, right on it. And so backstage, I'm sure there's a ton of cameramen back in the stage, and I'm sure like most of the videos that they have backstage is of me going like this, with the bikini because it was literally right on the line. I was just trying to make sure that the bump wasn't showing or anything, but luckily I was able to go down the runway, come back. You couldn't see it at all, you couldn't tell. I was very conscious of it, but you couldn't tell. The pictures look great. Sorry, there's a train driving by. Yeah, so that was the first time I did actually have a reaction after I got waxed. But once I went home and I used this stuff, I was good. I was good. The bump went down like that. So like I said, I really recommend that you guys try waxing if you haven't and you have my disorder. If you're experiencing symptoms like I explained, you might have HS, so go to your doctor and see, you know, what's it all about. And I hope that if you're like me, I hope that you find your enlightening moment and your solution, your cure, for lack of a better word, to battling and defeating this disorder. That's all I had to share with you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll catch you on the next video. Bye!